I read a lot of books about the worst serial killers, and I mean, that's quite the competition. And to be the worst serial killer, which people do compete for, by the way, it's not like the high school shooters don't know about the reputations of all the other high school shooters. It's not like they don't try to outdo them, because they certainly do, and they do it consciously. I mean, if you read those accounts and you don't walk away with the notion that evil exists and that the notion of an adversary is like as real as it gets, then you just haven't read very carefully.
But how do your peers deal with that when you say
they
that?
don't? You know, I mean, psychologists generally don't.
I mean,
some clinical psychologists talk about evil, but non-clinicians tend not to, and that's because they just aren't confronted by it. You are if you're a clinician. I mean, you see things in families that are so terrible that they're inexpressible and multi-generational often, you know, and the only language that you can really fit that sort of thing in is a religious language. That's the only language that's serious enough. And, you know, people, I don't know, the idea of evil is taboo idea scientifically. It's like, have it your way. You know, one of the things that Solzhenitsyn claimed was that the Nuremberg judgments were the most significant ethical event of the 20th century, or at least among them, because the Nuremberg judgment was that some things are wrong, right? You don't get the excuse, I was following orders. You don't get the excuse, that's how my culture looks at it. You don't get any excuses, that's what a crime against humanity is. It's like, do you believe in crimes against humanity? The answer is either yes or no, because those are the two answers. And if it's no, it's then, okay, you have the world where that's the belief and see how that goes. And I'll have the world where I think that there are things that are evil, and we'll see how that goes. And because you're going to not condemn the imposition of pointless suffering on people for the sake of the suffering, that's not wrong in some fundamental and transcendental sense. I mean, you can say no, you know, say, I don't believe in evil. It's okay. But that has its consequences, and one of the consequences is you can't condemn evil. That's a problem, you know, or maybe not. But it's not like a world where you don't condemn evil. It isn't like there aren't consequences to that decision, you know. And I also think that there's no good where there's no evil, right? And so if you dispense with the idea of evil, don't you simultaneously dispense with the idea of good? I mean, because if something doesn't exist, how does its opposite exist? And if evil doesn't exist, then how does good exist? Because in some sense, those two things they're integrally linked in their reality. One of them only can't exist, right? That isn't how things work. If there wasn't something that wasn't good, there couldn't be good. And maybe that's the reason there's evil. Metaphysically speaking, because you might ask yourself, well, why would God make a world that's characterized by evil? And the answer is, well, maybe evil can exist as a possibility, not a reality. It could, if we did things right, evil could exist as a possibility and not a reality.